Today I'm going to be tackling the rear drum brakes on my 2005 Grand Caravan. For this job you're going to need some special tools. Not too special, you're going to need two 8mm bolts. It should be 8mm with the 1.25 threads. Also you're going to need a few specialty tools. This is a brake shoe spring compressor. You're going to need one of these bent tools. Don't know the name of it. Pretty sure this is the one that I use. You also need vice grips and some of your other standard tools. This I brought out. Never liked it, and I probably won't use it. This actually has a spring compressor on the butt end there, but you are better off with this. Okay, let's see if I can get you a good shot here. There's the drum. Go around back, and you'll notice there's a little rubber cap there. I am working on the passenger side, and you're going to want to take that cap off. Don't lose it, because you're going to definitely want to put it back on there so water doesn't get in there. And if you'll notice, what I wrote down there, see that arrow says off? This is from when I took off the drum before. Is there's a little gear in there that you have to turn using this tool in order to back off the brake shoes so that you can get the drum off, because as the brakes wear into the drum, they cause a little lip there, and you won't be able to pull this off because it's going to snag on there. So you got to back it off, and it's on should be on this side here. I don't know if you can see it. See that gold paint there? I did that on purpose so that I could tell that the gear is on this side of the slot, not on this side of the slot, because this is real frustrating. You know, it could be here, it could be there. Does it go up? Does it go down to come off? So do yourself a favor, get a permanent paint pen right on there, what direction to push it. So I want to push it down, and I want to be on this side with the tool in order to get it off. It's almost a learned skill to actually move that thing, but it can be real frustrating when you're moving it one way. It doesn't seem like it's loosening. You move it the other way, it still doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Make life easier for yourself, because a year from now, 2 years from now, when you go to do the job again, you're not going to remember. And I even see it in there, a little graffiti, down, off. And it has saved me a hell of a lot of headaches. Okay, so this is what you're going to be doing. And there is a spring in there. It's actually the brake cable itself for the parking brake in your way. So you want to keep doing this until you can get the drum to come off. Okay, now I have that backed off. And since I've taken this drum off in the past 6 months, I'm able to slide this off. But if you got one that doesn't want to move, there's two holes here. They take your 8mm bolts, and you want to thread them in there. Tighten one a little, turn, tighten two, second, turn, keep going back and forth, just a turn each until this starts sliding forward. If it's snagging on the brake pads, that's telling you that you have not backed this off far enough. Okay, you want to take a note of where everything is positioned here. You got a blue spring up there. If it still has paint on there, there's a little clip there that stabilizes that blue spring down onto this adjuster here. When you're working from the back, that's the gear you're actually turning. That's the automatic adjustment system. So when you put on your brakes, as your brakes are wearing out, this will slowly keep pushing that gear down and tighten your brakes back up. There's a spring there. There's a spring down here that is pushed down underneath that bracket. And then there's the red spring down here on the bottom. And then there's the retainer springs there and there that you need a special tool for. And also make note of which direction everything goes. So the threaded half of the adjuster bar goes to the rear of the car, And then this bar here, I don't know if it's oriented a certain way, but as you take it apart, always lay it out in the same order that you remove it. Now before you do anything, you want to take a screwdriver real carefully, go down to the metal base, that's the piston in there, and make sure both sides can move a little bit. If they're frozen, they will not budge. You should easily be able to push them in with that screwdriver. Be careful not to puncture the rubber boots on here. But you should be easily able to nudge them just a little bit. That's all you need to know. If they're frozen, stop, put it back together, go to the store, buy a new brake cylinder. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about brake cylinder quality. Now this is a brand new brake cylinder, and this one is an American made. It was actually new old stock that I got on eBay. I bought 4 of them because I saw that they were made in the USA. They were actually labeled AutoZone, and but what you typically get now, as far as from your big box stores, will be Chinese made brake cylinders. And here's an example of one here. Now this was on my car for a year or less. I've gone through a number of these. They last 1 year. What you will find is you'll do your full brake job, put new brakes front, back, new cylinders, whatever, and then 9 months later you notice that your front brakes are worn out, that when you put your foot on the brake that the front end nose dives. You replace your front brakes, you check your back brakes, lo and behold your back brakes look brand new. Why is that? Because they're not working. They're not doing anything. Why? Because this cylinder has seized up on you. Now look at how this boot fits on here nice and tight. That's American rubber there. In China, they recycle their rubber. They try melting it back down and reforming it. And when this cylinder was new, this boot probably fit almost as good as that. But in very short order, this rubber starts to deteriorate. Look at that. Look how it's just flopping around there. And then you wind up with dirt getting down inside the cylinder, water getting down inside the cylinder, because as you're driving in the rain, water's getting splashed up in there. And then this whole thing just seizes shut. What's inside there is a spring. There's a spring in there, a rubber seal, and then the metal piston, and then beyond there, and then your brake shoe will ride on there. And this will just be completely seized up inside there. You have to take a hammer, literally, to bang it out of there. It is just not moving. And it's just because the Chinese quality is so poor. So when you go shopping for a cylinder, you know, you're going to find a few different price ranges. The American ones will probably cost you double. And by double, I mean $18 as opposed to $8. So if you go to the store, have them bring it out to you, you look at it. If it says made in China, tell them no thank you, bring it out a different brand. If they don't have any American made ones, look on Rock Auto, see what you can find there. I really, at this point, I don't know if Wagner or I'm sure Dorman is Chinese, but you know, look around, try to find out which one's American made, and go American on this. Otherwise, if you get these Chinese ones, I could all but guarantee you a year later, this is what you're going to be finding in that drum, and your brakes are not going to be working. These should not be sold whatsoever, any way or form, because this is a safety issue. And look at this one. It's even worse. Yes, this was on my car. I was driving my car with this. Okay, first I'll remove this lower spring, and using a pair of long nose vice grips is your best option. Get that out of there. Find a place to lay them in order. Next I'll go up to the upper one. Flip this little clip downward, take the spring out, put it in order, got spring down the bottom here to get. Same deal. Then we have these two round springs here. Now they are keyed, so there's a little slot you see going this way, but yet the rivet that's holding it in place is up and down, and that's what locks it in. And that's where this tool comes in. Has a little window for you to watch what you're doing. And I hold the rivet from the back, you turn, and then went too far. These will be your nemesis. There we go. And that comes out from the back. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a flat spot there that goes through that keyhole. Put that aside. Shimmy that out, keeping everything in order. Keep that in its same position. I don't know if there's a left or right to that. And now I'll do the same thing for the other side. Okay, once you undo this spring clip, this whole shoe comes off of here. This is your parking brake assembly. Just so you know, leave this dangle just like that, because if you ever have to, I've had to replace these parking brakes cables, and it is a pain to get this onto here. Leave it alone. And I have a new set of brake pads, but as I see, these are in excellent shape, so I'm actually just going to clean them up, lubricate them, basically do the video for you, and put them back on. Okay, after cleaning up the area, you're going to lubricate the contact points for the pads with very light amount of lubricant. I always use Mercedes brake grease. It's completely different from anything else. I also smear very, very light coat on there, as well as on the back of this plate, because those two parts slide against each other. Go very, very light. I think this Mercedes grease actually bonds to the metal to prevent rust, but you don't glop it up because it's going to collect brake dust and just get all gummy on you. Okay, now we're going to take the Ford caliper apart. Now this comes off of here. If you'll notice, there's a notch there, and that tab of the self-adjuster fits into that notch, so don't forget that part. These two halves come apart. I actually already cleaned this up, and I put a dab of brake grease down here. Well, I took this nut off, put a dab of brake grease down here, and then threaded it all the way down and then back again. And you notice the clip goes on the final threads right there. And then to take this spring off, and then this mechanism will come loose. Be careful, you don't want to bend this, because that's bent to a specific spot to grab this nut to turn it as a self-adjuster. Then after that, there's that E-clip there. You got to take that off, and then this rivet pops out. This plate stays with the brakes, and the shoe is what you're replacing. So this you'll mount onto your new pad, your new brake shoe, and mount it back on the car. So I'll do that now. Okay, here's everything apart. There's that rivet, there's that E-clip. Don't lose anything. I keep everything in the same order. And here's the plate separated. The underside of the plate that goes against the shoe has little bumps on there. There's bumpers so it can ride back and forth and swivel like that. I'm going to clean that all up, put a thin layer of brake grease on there, and then also a little bit on here and get it back together. Okay, I have it cleaned and back together. The rivet is on the front side of the brake pad with the E-clip holding this mechanism. On the rear side there's the E-clip. I always turn it so this is like an indentation, so I always have it turned so it's in the indentation. It's not likely to come out, but just to be safe. Also, this nub should be facing towards you. The other two nubs ride on the frame of the brake pad itself. And so I'll put that back together now. Oh, and I got this armature back up in place, and I'll put that in, and then the adjuster I'll actually put on after the fact. Okay, first we'll put on this upper hook here. If you'll notice, I put that on there already. That was in the wrong order, but you want to put this on. First, you want to try to compress your brake cylinder a bit, and then hook that in there. Push it down, make sure that it's in place, and then go on to the lower ones. That. Make sure that's tucked under, and remember this little clip here, you want to hook that over top of the spring. Okay, so I got that locked in place. Remember, on this there's that notch in this end here. You want that facing forward, and this tab goes up under that notch, and then this little hook tab down here will go through that little triangular slot, just like that. Then you take your spring, it's going to hook here and here. This V1 is the top, the U shape is the bottom. You'll need your vice grips for that. Onto there, down to the bottom. Boom, that's done. Okay, when adjusting the brakes, you're going to put two nuts on there. This one's open, so I'm able to use that by itself. This one's closed off, so put like a spacer on there, because otherwise, if you tighten it down, the stud is going to break right through the back of the lug nut. And then what you want to do is spin it. If it needs to be loosened or tightened, adjust it. Remember, down was off, so now you're going to be spinning that nut with this tool up to tighten it. Then go in, press on the parking brake, let it go, come out, check it again. Do that a few times. Then when it feels about right, then start the engine, press the actual brake with the engine running, press that a few times, come out, check it again. Go through that process. If you find that you're going on a longer drive and all of a sudden the car starts shuddering, that means you tighten this a little too far and you need to back that adjustment nut out. You could wait for it to wear its way down, but my experience when I had done it that way is that it would take forever. So in my case, I did it in a parking lot, just got under there, pulled that plastic cap off, used a screwdriver to adjust it a few notches, and I was back to normal. Don't forget to put your rubber plug back on.